everyone. Hi, welcome to HED Talks. I'm thrilled to have a couple of new people here. Thank you for coming. You must have heard it was good, so I'm going to try to live up to that reputation, if that's why you came. If not, if you came for the topic, which is, Effie knows.
Memory.
Well, it's sleeping and dreaming, but we're going to do a nice review. Today we're going to talk about sleeping and dreaming, but we have to do a review because we haven't been together for how long? It's been 2 weeks, and what did we talk about 2 weeks ago when we were last together? Memory. Oh my goodness. So we have to go through that. Because that was a fun one and it's important. It was very important. So we're going to do a review and we're going to see how much you remember from our lecture on memory. I spent an awful lot of time describing how a memory is formed. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Right? That we have billions, trillions of neurons in our brain. And when a memory is formed, it travels down. We didn't get into the technical terms, but who remembers what these things are called?
Dendrites.
Well, this is the dendrite, but
Synapses.
the branches, remember, what do we want to create?
No branches.
We want to create new branches because the more new branches you have, the better what?
Memory.
Yeah, the better that your chances are of retrieving any memory, anything that you want to think of. You want to have lots and lots of those branches, right?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Now we also talked about where memories are encoded in the brain. Who remembers where are memories encoded?
All over.
Excellent. Yes, you're all right. Yes, very, very good. Memories are stored throughout your brain in many different places in your brain. There's not one single location where you deposit all of your memories. They're located all over the place. Now we have many different types of memory, but these are the ones that we really are familiar with and that we want to remember. Okay, short-term, working, and long-term memory. And what is your working memory?
Day to day.
The automatic stuff, that's exactly right, yes. Things that are just when you're on autopilot, you don't have to think about it at all. And we talked about the example of driving. When you first learned how to drive, before you got your driver's license, did you have to very conscientiously remember to put your key in the ignition and then you start, and if you, depending on what type of a car you drove, you were very conscientious about the next step and the next step and the next step. Do you do that now?
No.
He's just giving me a hard time.
That's because you're going back.
You're on autopilot. You're on autopilot. You don't need to do that. Why? Why is that? Because when you were first learning, it was encoded in your what?
Short-term.
And then after you did it many times, then it went into your long-term memory. And so what we were really talking about last time we were together is to improve your memory. What you want to do is be aware of the fact that you have a short-term and a long-term. How do you connect those two? If you want to remember things, you have to connect it to your long-term memory, because in your long-term memory, do you have to think about it?
No.
No. Do you have to try hard?
No.
No, it comes to you naturally. So we talked about ways in which we can connect our short term to our long term. And one of the things that we were talking about was if memory is encoded all throughout your brain, and we learned when we were doing functions of the brain that all of our senses can be utilized to create a memory. If you're aware that you want to use all of your brain, use many parts of your brain to create something that's solidly in there, that gets solidly in there, that doesn't get flooded out and forgotten. So we tried a little example of that. Remember, one of the most difficult things for a lot of people is remembering somebody's name when you first meet them. Right?
Yes.
So we were talking about Edith. Where's Edith? Edith's not here. But Edith was saying, say the name out loud. So you meet somebody, sometimes you don't even hear what the person's name is, because if you're meeting a new person, it could be in a social setting and lots of other things are distracting you. So you say the person's name out loud. But then there were other tips, right? If you want to connect this new information to your long-term memory, what can you do? When you meet somebody new, you hear their name, you say it out loud, and then you're going to think of something that connects it to the long-term memory, right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Big nose.
Like a big...
What did he say?
He said like if they have a big nose.
Jeez.
So if a woman's name is Rose and she has a big nose,
No problem.
all right, so as long as you don't say it out loud, that's acceptable. Just keep that kind of thing.
And Dennis would be Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
You could say that out loud. I don't think he would mind. Oh, there you are, Edith. I was just asking after you.
Oh, I forgot something.
Okay, so what you want to do is you meet somebody or you get any kind of, this is just an example, but any kind of new information, do what you can to attach it to your long-term memory. Having it rhyme with something, Conrad, is actually a great idea. And the sillier the thing is, the more you're going to be able to remember it, correct?
Right, yep.
Okay. All right, so memory recall, we talked about memory recall. All right, and we discovered that if the memory is stored in several areas all over your brain, when you're bringing that forward, guess what happens to it?
It has to get sorted out. I'm not sure how.
It can get distorted, right?
Yeah.
Memory, when you, over time, your memory, if you're bringing it back to the forefront, it doesn't come back the same way, does it? No, it's malleable. Memories are malleable. It's coming from different areas of your brain. So is some distortion bound to happen?
Yes.
Yes, and that's why we cannot rely on like eyewitness testimony, right? Or things like that, because the memory can change. A person can be sincere in what they're saying, but when they're recalling it, it's not like a photograph. That's what we compared it to last time. A photograph, you can pull that photograph out of your album 50 years, 100 years later, and all the things will still be there that were there originally. It's not true of a memory. When you pull a memory together to the forefront of your brain, just be aware of the fact that it's not going to be exactly the same. And then that brought us to false memories. Is it possible to implant false memories?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. It definitely is. And that would be true. We think of that as happening to children, but can it happen to adults as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it can. And it is frighteningly easy to do. Many, many studies have been done. All right, but then you know how when I say something negative, I don't want to leave you there. I want to bring you into some happier place. So I did that. Being true to myself, I did that last time. And what I want to let you know is when you have a memory, the same chemicals that were released in your brain will be released in your brain when you're remembering it as if it is happening all over again. All right?
Yep.
So when you think of something you're going to relive it. You're going to have the same chemical release. So, if you're thinking of something funny, I think that's what we used last time. If you're thinking of something funny, does it matter how much time has gone by? If you think of it, do you laugh?
Yes.
You do. All right, if you think of something sad, do you cry? No matter how much time has gone by, it creates those same emotions. Now, if you know that and you're aware of that, then it might be a nice idea to be aware of the fact that you have these chemicals in your brain all the time. All right? Aren't these great? Look what you've got. What do you have?
Dopamine.
Serotonin.
Oxytocin. And endorphins.
Are those good?
Yeah.
Are those feel-good chemicals?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you know you've got that, and you know that remembering something, recalling something that was good and wonderful or funny and happy, would you be spending your time wisely in visualizing those memories?
Sure.
Wouldn't that be a great resource, especially if you're feeling a little bit down?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have the same chemical release. The same chemicals will release in your brain. You're going to feel good. So rather than kind of, dive into something that might be upsetting you, you could choose what?
Happy thoughts.
Visualization. Does it have to even be an actual memory? What if you just have a happy thought about, going to the beach or something? It doesn't have to even be your actual memory. You can use visualization to release those chemicals. They will secrete even in visualization of something.
Is that a type of daydreaming?
Well, we're going to get into that. Yes, it is, Effie. Effie, you are so on top of this topic today.
Perceptive.
She's perceptive. I know. I don't know why I said today, because she is every day. She always is, yes. All right, and then we also talked about body memory. What a phenomenon this is. People that have amputated limbs
Yeah.
can still feel pain. They call it phantom limb. They can still feel pain in a part of a body that does not exist anymore. But they're aware of it, and they will complain of having pain there. All right? Our bodies have cellular memory.
Yeah.
All right? We have our cells have a memory, so it's throughout all of us, all of our brain and our body. How do we strengthen memory? So we were talking about if you have a situation, all right, let's say, a new grandchild was being born, and you think to yourself, you go to see the new baby, and you think to yourself, I just want to remember all, everything about this. What's the fastest route to the brain? Do you remember? Dennis says the stomach.
Touch, maybe?
Oh, Lord. That's
Smell. Smells.
Yeah.
Smells.
All right, smell. So if you're going to visit your son or daughter and they've had their first child, and this is just such a momentous moment, or Samantha just graduated. Congratulations, Samantha. Is that a momentous moment?
Absolutely.
And so you want to remember, you really want to put that solidly in your memory. You're going to use all of your senses. And one of the things that you want to be acutely aware of is the fact that smell is the fastest route to the brain. So wherever you are, you're out on the field at the graduation, you're going to, just take in, maybe they just mowed the lawn, or, you're, what? Is she being fresh over there?
Yes.
Yeah.
She said something naughty.
Oh, all right, well, all right.
Let's skip over it.
We'll skip over that. We're gonna skip over Pat. Okay, and then we talked about mnemonics. Do you remember this?
Yep.
Yes, all right, so we talked about mnemonics, which is a way of remembering something. And maybe everybody used this little trick to remember things in school when you were gonna have a test, right?
Yes.
Right, you use this sentence, my very excellent mother just served us nachos, and that helped you to remember the order of the planets in our solar system, right? And I said to you last time, I understand that you're no longer asked to recite the order of planets in the solar system, right? People don't ask you to do that very often anymore.
No.
So how would this help you? And I offered my little trick for remembering things at the grocery store. Do you remember my grocery list?
Yes.
You remember my grocery list, right?
Yeah.
And then I gave you a sentence. Does anybody remember my sentence?
I forgot.
My sentence was, too much eating could break my diet.
Oh,
Okay?
I remember that.
You remember that now? Too much eating could break my diet. And then I hid my grocery list, and all of you were able to remember my grocery list. And we did that in seconds. I don't even think a minute went by. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you all remembered so many of them. Yeah, you were all very impressed with yourselves. Okay, and then we played this game, association, right? Do you remember this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and you all did really, really well at that.
That
So
was really fun.
that was fun, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. You all did incredibly well at that. And then we talked about another way to remember something is to put a little tune to it.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, so I asked you all if you learned your alphabet by singing it, and the entire room started singing the alphabet. Everybody in the room started singing the alphabet, so that was pretty good too. Okay, all right, and then I showed you one of the clips from Brain Games, another way to connect the short term to the long term memory. Remember this guy?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember the serial
Oh,
numbers from
incredible.
four $1 bills? Remember that?
Yeah, that was.
So that was very, very impressive. And what he was doing was memory mapping. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I never heard.
Okay, very good. And then I told you all that there wasn't a person in the room that would not be able to do what he did, and that is true, but only if you apply this, right? You have to really try. If you really wanted to, you would have to practice these things, because the more often you do something, the what?
Better you get at it.
Exactly, yes. So if you really, sometimes you have to work at it, so if you want to improve your memory and use these memory skills, you really need to work at it. And then we talked about the scary one, memory loss, right? We talked about losing our memory, and we started out by saying that there is such a thing as normal forgetting, right? Yeah, there's normal forgetting. If you've misplaced your keys, or you walk into a room and you can't remember why you went there, okay? Is that dementia, or is that normal forgetting?
That's normal forgetting.
That is normal forgetting. Who remembers the example of dementia that I gave you?
You don't know how to use it.
If that's exactly right, Trudy. If you find your keys and you don't know what they're for, then that would be different. That's a different story. If you're looking at these things and you don't know what they're for, what they do, why do you have them, that would be concerning. I showed you the difference between a healthy brain and the Alzheimer's brain, right?
Yes.
Now, what is happening here in the diseased brain is that there's plaque buildup
Yeah.
and entanglement, which causes a shrinkage of the brain. And what's happening is, if you're trying to remember something, okay, and your synaptic transmission is traveling down here and it has to jump over to here, could it fall in between? Could it fall away? Could you lose it?
There's so many spaces.
Yes, yes, because because there's not anywhere for it to go to. But if you are creating the branches, that's why we talked so much about it. Create all these, as many of these little branches as you can. Now I need something to go from here to here. Do you think I can make it?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be able to make it, because it's not that far away, I can make that jump. Okay, so that's the critical thing here. Create these branches, grow these branches. We talked about the neurons and growing those branches and the things that create an unhealthy neuron and the things that create a healthy neuron, right? And that's what they would look like. But we decided that those two lists are very long, aren't they?
Mhm.
Right. So I thought maybe if I just gave you 5 things, that would help you to remember. That would be easier to remember. Does anybody want to give that a shot? It was 2 weeks ago.
Relationships?
I remember.
Oh, John, yes. Diet, exercise,
Sleep.
sleep. Excellent. You weren't even here.
Well, you are good.
That's very impressive. All right, so let's take a look. So we said sleep. Sleep is very, very important, and it doesn't matter where, how, why, when, but you need to do what?
Sleep.
I love those poses.
I love those ones. I love the dog.
And then we also said that the Mediterranean diet, in study after study after study, it's the Mediterranean diet that has proven to be the one that is most brain healthy for you. And then, we said exercise, correct?
Yeah.
But then we also talked about the idea of, remember stress and distress?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're in distress and it's beyond your control, life happens, right? You can't control what's going on sometimes. But can you offset the distress that's happening in your life? Yeah, yes. And some of you came up with some great ideas. Somebody said read a good book. Somebody said eat chocolate. Drink wine, whatever it is that's going to make you feel good. Let's secrete some endorphins. Just let's get ourselves calmed down and balance that. But the number one most important thing that you have to do of the 5 things is
Learn
Learn something new.
because there is an incredible study, all right? And from this study, we get something called cognitive reserve. Cognitive reserve. Does anybody remember the study I shared with you?
The nuns?
Yes, excellent. Yes, it's the nun study. It's called the nun study. You remember it?
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's amazing. So in the nun study, it's a longitudinal study that followed a large group of nuns for decades. And when they passed away, they had donated their bodies, their brains, to science. Upon examination of the brains of these nuns, they discovered that some of them showed absolute evidence of dementia. However, when they were alive,
They never showed it.
You never showed it.
exactly. Did everybody hear that?
Yes.
No.
No symptoms.
No, none at all.
They had shriveled brain, they had entanglement, they had plaque,
You name it, they had it.
but they did not show symptoms, so they were shocked. They were shocked. Why did these nuns have a diseased brain but showed no symptoms? And so they went after,
Yeah.
what?
They got reserved.
They have the cognitive reserve, exactly. So what is the cognitive reserve?
Well, they were constantly studying.
They were studying, they were talking, they were engaged, they lived communally, they were constantly doing what?
Learning something new.
Exactly, they were constantly learning something new. And when they did that, what was happening in their brain was that they were growing the branches, right?
Yes.
So if they had so many of these new branches that the ones that were diseased, the ones that were shriveled up, they were able to bypass, to circumvent. All right? So maybe, I mean, it might have taken them a little bit longer to have something come forward and remember something, but they got there. And they got there because they had cognitive reserve. Cognitive reserve. Your brain does not stop growing at a certain age. All right? It doesn't. Your brain could be different tomorrow from what it is today. All right? Because you are constantly growing and changing. This is happening. All right? So when you're learning new things, you are developing a cognitive reserve. Now, last time when we met, I wanted to demonstrate cognitive reserve. Do you remember that? I wanted to demonstrate that. And I had two little girls help us to demonstrate cognitive reserve. Okay, do you remember these two little girls?
Your granddaughters.
Ah, yes, they're my granddaughters. What else do you remember?
One Sophia.
One is Sophia. Oh my gosh, that was 2 weeks ago. Yes.
And Natalie,
Danielle.
I meant Danielle.
Yeah, that's exactly what you meant. They sound the same. Natalie and Danielle sound very similar. Do you remember what's their relationship?
They're sisters.
Yes. And do you remember my nickname for them?
Oh, what was it again? Something with peaches? No?
They're my cupcake heads. Do you remember, this one already knows what she wants to be when she grows up?
A doctor.
No.
A lawyer.
Yes, a lawyer.
Well, I was.
Yes, yeah. She wants to be a lawyer, and
Yes, she
the
talks
reason
a lot.
for that is because,
She talks a lot.
She likes to argue.
yes, excellent, Dennis, because she is the best arguer I've ever met. She is extremely good at arguing. So we're very happy with her career choice. We think she'll do well. She's going to do well. Okay, so that is the demonstration of cognitive reserve. If I had just told you their names, how much would have been growing inside your brain?
Not much.
Not much. And it might not even be that you remembered anything about them, even their faces or anything, if I just told you their names. But I went on to tell you, you know, funny, quirky little things, and I told you a whole bunch about my granddaughters. So instead of your branches looking like that, what did they look like?
They look like that.
They look like that. That is cognitive reserve, okay? So that's what's important for you to remember. Remember the nun study. They showed no symptoms because they were learning new things. They were constantly growing these branches, and they were able to make all of these connections. All right, very, very, very important. Then, in addition to that, there's other supports for cognitive reserve, all right? And that would be, you know, being social, doing different activities, you know, education, all of that kind of thing. And then we were very proud of the fact, do you remember the very last slide that we had last time? Because all that you need for cognitive reserve to develop that is where?
Here.
Yes! It's right here. And all you have to do is access it, take advantage of all the things that are offered to you here at Hunt Community, whether you're a Hunt resident or an at-home by Hunt, you've got access to everything that is offered here. So, really brilliant choice, everyone. Yeah, good choice. You did well with that. Okay, so that was our speed through last time. I had to take the time, though, because it's been 2 weeks. All right, my granddaughters will be happy to know that you remembered them. So today we're going to talk about sleep and dreaming, right? That's a very interesting subject because it's so mysterious, yes. Now, do you know that you have several different brain waves going on? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at all the different types of brain waves. Okay? Yes. Now, for some of you right now, you're right here. For others, you're right here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, some of you are dozing off, I think.
Yes.
But that's okay. That's all right. But here are your different brain waves. So what is sleep?
Oh, God.
Sleep is a brain wave, right?
It is.
Relaxation for the
Yeah, sleep is a brain wave. If you're in delta, if you're in a delta wave, where are you?
You're in deep sleep.
Yeah, you're in a deep, deep sleep. Yes. Yep. So this is hyper, this is normal, and then this, and then they start to, well, you can see it for yourself, right? Yes. So all we're doing when we're sleeping is we're changing our brain wave. Here is the sleep cycle. All right, did you know that you went through this? You go through this cycle several times during the night. All right, so you start to slow down. Melatonin begins to secrete, and then you go into a little bit deeper sleep, and then you come up to, what's this? REM. Yes.
Rapid eye movement.
Exactly. Thank you, Dennis. That's exactly right.
Dennis.
REM means rapid eye movement. So the rapid eye movement stage of sleep usually comes in about 90 minutes. So 90 minutes after you've fallen asleep, you go into rapid eye movement, REM sleep, which is what's happening. Why is it called rapid eye movement?
Because your eyes move back and forth.
You're dreaming. You're dreaming. And then this is the cycle that is going to happen all throughout the night. All right, so you're dreaming for a little while, and then you're going to start all over again. And what?
Well, I'm talking about Plato.
Pluto.
Whatever it is.
That the dog Plato.
Yeah, Plato.
Yes, yeah, the dog Pluto. Yes, so that's when we have dreaming. The REM sleep is when we have dreaming. And we're going to go to the Mayo Clinic right now to explain a little bit more from a person far better informed than I am about sleep.
Well, your body can go through several stages of sleep.
We basically divide sleep into wake, non-REM, 3 types, and REM sleep.
Dr. Lois Cron, a Mayo Clinic sleep medicine specialist, says the 3 types of non-REM, which stands for rapid eye movement, include level 1, which is light sleep, level 2, intermediate sleep, and level 3, deep sleep.
Our heart rate and our breathing really slows down, and that just allows the body a chance to recover from the busy day.
The final stage is REM sleep, which is typically when you dream.
Things speed up, except a person cannot move, they're paralyzed. And that's actually felt probably to be a rinsing function to clear the brain of toxins and byproducts.
Dr. Cron says not everyone goes through all the stages, but in general, people alternate between several different levels of non-REM as well as REM sleep every night. For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Jason Howland.
That's why sleep's important. Did you hear her say it cleanses your brain of toxins? If you don't cleanse your brain of toxins, that's where the plaque starts to build up. Okay, so sleep helps to, will help you avoid a diseased brain. all right, because it clears you of those toxins. Okay, have you heard of the circadian rhythm?
Yes.
Yeah, so you know our bodies have a natural system. We're all on this clock, aren't we? Yeah, so we go through all of these phases throughout a 24-hour period. All right, and then something really interesting happens in the evening. What is your brain secreting?
Melatonin.
Melatonin. What does melatonin do?
Relax.
Yeah. Yes, it helps you. It gets your brain ready to go to sleep. It makes you sleepy. So there's another great chemical. Isn't your brain amazing? All the good stuff you've got there. All right, so now why do we have to sleep?
To rejuvenate,
To rejuvenate.
to recover.
To recover, to replenish,
The count sheet.
to count sheep. Well, you count sheep to sleep. Yes. All right?
Probably didn't get enough sleep.
You bet. All right, well, this is Matthew Walker. I have a little clip with him, but he's a sleep expert, all right? He is out of Berkeley. He's written books, he's done lectures, he's probably, the foremost authority on sleep. He's done many studies on sleep. And what does he have to say about it?
It's
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's necessary for all life.
yeah, you have to do it. We have to do it. All right, and these are the benefits of sleep. All right, so these are all the things that will happen for you if you sleep, if you get a good sleep. All right, now sometimes you can't control that, right? If you have trouble sleeping, you can't control that. So we want to take a look at a couple of tips to help us to sleep, okay? So if you keep to a regular schedule, all right? Do you all do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, all
Some
right.
of us don't.
Well, if we keep to a regular schedule, when we were kids, our mothers had it right. We need a bedtime. And then we need to wake up on time. So if you keep to a routine. Did you know that drinking alcohol will disrupt your sleep?
Yes.
Yeah. Some people think it's the opposite. They think, oh, if I just have,
Yeah.
a drink, it will make me tired and sleepy. It doesn't. It disrupts
Makes it
your
worse.
sleep. It does. It makes it worse. Yes. Keep your room dark, and all of these, you can read these
Yeah.
yourself. So we know, we don't exactly, scientists don't know 100% the reasons why we have to sleep, but we know that it's definitely beneficial. But it's still something being explored. All right? What about dreaming?
We don't always know if we drink.
It's problem
What
solving.
happens if you can't remember your drink?
That's, I was just gonna say.
A lot of people
remember
don't.
them.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember their
Or
dreams.
short-term memory of
You
them.
know, when I was younger, I used to remember all my dreams, but now I don't have dreams, I swear to God.
Oh, you do. We all
I don't
do.
remember them.
If you
Yeah,
have
we
one, you
just,
need to
yeah,
write it down.
we don't remember them. All right, well, let's,
Nightmares.
yeah, there's all kinds of them. All right, so let's take a look. We'll dive a little bit more into dreams and maybe the possible reasons why we have them. So one of the theories, and it's just a theory, okay? One of the theories why we have to dream is because until very, very recently, relatively speaking, how much of our 24-hour circadian cycle was in darkness?
Oh, half at least or more.
Right? Half of it, right? All right, but then this guy came along, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good old Edison.
Yes, and so we weren't in darkness anymore if we didn't want to be, but for a very, very, very long time, half of our life, half of our cycle was in darkness, and they think that the reason why we had to dream was so that the brain would remain active. All right, because when it gets dark, what do you tend to do?
Yeah.
Sleep. You want to sleep. All right, but while you're sleeping, if you're sleeping half of your life away, right?
Yeah.
What will happen to the brain? Will it?
It will shrink.
Yeah, it could adapt to not being used. So they think that the reason why we dream and why we have the dream cycle is to keep your brain active. All right? So you can see non-REM and the REM sleep. All right? Now, if your brain is active and you're doing all these things in your sleep, is it possibly dangerous? Like, let's say you're having a dream, you think that's real, and you get up and you start doing stuff that in your sleep that you probably shouldn't be doing.
I thought you were paralyzed.
Well, that's the reason for it, okay? So then what has to adapt is that you have to have sleep paralysis so that you don't get up and jump out the window.
Like sleepwalkers.
Yes. Yeah, some people do, and that's a rarity, and then they need to be treated for that.
Live on the
But
first
for
floor.
most of us, we have sleep paralysis, right? Have you ever started to wake up and you were still in sleep paralysis?
No.
No, I know.
Oh, that I have. It's so scary. It's like so scary.
You can't move?
You can't move, but you're like starting to wake up, and you are aware of the fact that you're paralyzed.
No.
And you can't even like cry out or scream or anything. That hasn't happened to anybody?
No.
Oh no, I'm confessing stuff. Oh, thank you. I didn't want to be the only one. All right, thank you. So in addition to sleep paralysis, they also think that the reason why we dream is to help us transfer new information that you learned during the day, process it from your short-term memory into your long-term memory, because if you're dreaming about stuff, it's probably about stuff that happened during the day. However distorted and weird it might translate, but it's like rehearsal. So now it's gonna go into your long-term memory. And again, these are theories. They're just theories. All right, but that's one, another one that they're thinking of. Now, what about, did you know that creativity and problem solving can happen through dreams?
Yes.
You knew that. I'm going to share with you some of my famous creativity and problem solving that came directly as a result of a dream. Are you familiar with this song? Do you know that song?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many of you know that song?
We were all singing it.
I heard you. That's why, I let it go. So you're all familiar with that song. Is it one of their most famous songs? Do you know that it was #1 in the United States for over 4 weeks?
Really?
Yeah, #1 for over 4 weeks in the United States. Do you know that Paul McCartney dreamt
That song.
that song?
Really?
Yes.
I believe.
Yes, he dreamt, he dreamt all the music to that song, and it worried him so much that before they released it, he just went around asking everybody, have you ever heard this before? And did I really dream it? Did I just hear it from some? He didn't want to plagiarize, but no one had ever heard it before. This was a song that he dreamt. And when he woke up, he wrote all the music down immediately. And so we have the song yesterday that you're all singing to because of a dream. Did you know that, so talk about problem solving. All right, so this chemist dreamt the chemical structure of benzene.
It's amazing.
That was from a dream. So trying to solve the problem, he went to sleep and he had a dream of the structure. All right, he had a dream of the structure. Not to be outdone, okay, not to be outdone, do you know that the structure of the atom was a result of a dream?
Wow.
Yeah.
came from a dream. All right, so let's go back to creativity, okay? So we had 2 problem solving. Let's go back to creativity. Do you know that one of the most famous literary characters, I was going to say creatures, came as the result of a dream? Any guesses?
Literary character?
Literary, let me say creature.
Frankenstein.
Excellent! Oh my
Really?
gosh, Effie, yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Did you
Yes.
guys ever read that story?
yes,
Yes,
Mary,
we did.
yes, Mary Shelley,
Well,
dreamt
Mary Shelley dreamt about that.
yes, dreamt Frankenstein's monster,
Yeah.
Wow.
okay? And then I just thought you'd get a kick out of saying Herman Munster.
Yeah.
Oh,
Such a
Archer.
pretty boy.
All right, but Mary Shelley's not the only one. She's not the only one. There's also another famous novel that came as a result of a dream. Did you know that
Mr.
Really?
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, all right, and when Stevenson, this was reported, he was in the middle of having a dream of this character, and somebody woke him up, and he was furious. He was furious. You woke me up. I was coming up with this great character for a story. He was very, very upset about it. Yeah. Yep, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the result of a dream that Stevenson had. Do you know that the sewing machine
That I didn't know.
is a result of a dream? Yeah, the sewing machine was invented as a result of a dream. And then this is one of my favorite ones, all right? A dream gave this man the answer that he was looking for.
Oh.
Yes, a dream.
Wow.
We have insulin today
Because of
a dream. He dreamt it. He dreamt the solution. All right, but you know what? There's somebody that eclipses them all. Do you know who could be?
Einstein?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, Einstein. Yes, he is the greatest dreamer of all. All right, because theory of relativity, it just all of it is coming out of his thoughts, right? All right, so there's different types of dreaming. All right, so Einstein did have a dream when he was a child that led him to the theory of relativity, but he went on from there, okay, and he has thought experiments. What's a thought experiment?
Well, it's daydreamed.
Exactly. Yes, he is creating and thinking and then proving himself correct because he's doing what first? Daydreaming. Yes, exactly. All right, so a thought experiment is what Albert Einstein does. You would call it a thought experiment. But for the rest of us, you're right, it's just daydreaming.
I know it.
Okay, so daydreaming. What's happening in your brain when you're daydreaming? Are you changing your brain waves?
Yes.
Yes, you are. So there's different kinds. What about a false awakening? Have you ever thought you woke up and then realized that you were still asleep? Yeah, and then you have to like wake up for shit. It's so confusing, isn't it? It's so very, very confusing. And then somebody said it earlier, what do we have once in a while? Nightmares. So they say that we have, nightmares are 1 in 40. So in our dreams, 1 in 40. The average person has a nightmare. 1 in 40 of your dreams would be a nightmare for the average person. And some of the reasons why they think we have nightmares is they developed because it was kind of like a dress rehearsal for something, you know, when we were in the wild, it would help us to deal with whatever we might have to face if we had a little practice first. So, but who knows? We don't know. We have no idea. Have you ever heard of lucid dreaming? Lucid dreaming, does everybody know what it is?
No.
No, it is fascinating. All right, lucid dreaming is when you're dreaming, you're sound asleep, and you're dreaming, and then suddenly you're aware of the fact that you're dreaming. And then you can control,
Yeah.
what, Pat?
Dream in color.
Say it one more time.
When you're asleep and dreaming,
Yes.
you're suddenly aware of the fact that you are dreaming, that you're asleep and dreaming. And once you become aware of it, then you can control the dream.
Oh my gosh.
Then you can start to control the dream. I do this all the time. I love lucid dreaming,
Wow.
all right? But I tell myself to do it. Like before I go to bed, I'll tell myself I want to lucid dream. And what you do to know that you're in a dream is here's what I do. I'll tell you what I do. In my bedroom, I'm going to check the doorknob because I know what kind of a doorknob I have. You know, you can have a round doorknob or you can have the hook doorknob. All right, so I know what kind of doorknob I have. So I'll just check and make sure that it's the right kind. If it's not the right kind, then I know I'm dreaming. So that tips me off to the fact that I'm dreaming and now I can control it. How could that be beneficial to you? Well,
Solve problems.
you can solve problems, right? But let's say you have a recurring nightmare, you have a recurring nightmare and you want to tell yourself, I'm going to have a lucid dream in this nightmare so I can change the narrative.
Right.
Because who is the writer, creator, producer, director of your dream?
You are.
You are. So if you're having a dream and it's clearly something's bothering you, right? Something's bothering you because you're going over it in your mind. If you lucid dream, you can change it. Let's say a monster's chasing you, right? You're being chased by a monster. If you start becoming lucid in that dream, instead of running away, what could you do?
Fight it.
Fight it?
No, fight it.
Fight it, yeah. You can stop running, you can turn around, you can face it and see what it is. All right?
Yeah.
Turn around and see what is chasing me. Instead of running, is that going to help me solve the problem and stop the bad dream?
No.
No. But if I lucid dream, I can make that decision, I can turn and face it and see what it is. And then I can deal with it. All right? You can control your dream. You can control your dream. I use lucid dreaming to fly.
Me too.
To fly?
I
To fly. Do you fly,
I
Effie?
fly.
Flying is
Do you
awesome.
dream in color?
Oh, yes.
I
I dream in
dream
color.
in color. Oh, beautiful colors.
Yes, I dream in color. And I like to fly. Yes, Janet?
Is it more of a very creative person that would be able to lucid dream? I mean, could
Well,
anybody, or do you have to be a...
Anybody can lucid dream.
Yeah.
I have a little clip on it from Professor Walker that I want to show you. I think anybody can dream, but you have to practice, you have to tell yourself that you're going to do that. You have to tell yourself, there's some little, my doorknob thing?
Yeah.
You have to do something like that, something that you would understand and recognize. All right, so that there's like a signal for you that you would understand. But yeah, it takes a little practice. It takes a little practice. Let me tell you, this story is so beautiful, all right? I think it is, and I hope you do too. A friend of mine, I worked with her, and this was many, many years ago, and right before her wedding, her husband was in a car accident, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. So he was in a wheelchair. And he felt so badly that they couldn't dance together at their wedding. you know, because he was in the wheelchair, and he had always felt bad about that, and she was sharing that with me. She was saying, I would love to ease that pain. I tell him over and over again that I'm fine with that, but it's always bothered him. And I'm sure many other things have bothered him as well. I said to her, you know what you should both do? You should both try to do lucid dreaming and try to have a shared experience where you see yourselves at your wedding and you're both dancing.
Oh, wow.
And she tried it. They both were very, very willing to do this. And they tried it for many, many, many nights. And then one day she came into work and she said, we both had the same dream on the same night. We were dancing at our wedding.
That's wonderful.
That's
So,
great.
Did you
yeah.
cry?
Did I cry? Yes, I did.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I cry over everything. Trudy, you know me. Trudy supplies me with my books now because I trust her. I know her. We have the same taste.
Yeah.
So she gives me tearjerkers all the time. Yeah. So yes, I did. I definitely did. I had to go home for the day. No, I didn't. I stuck it out. All right, but lucid dreaming. So let's see what Professor Walker has to say about lucid dreaming.
What if we could control our dreams? When most of us dream, our thoughts and actions are involuntary. The dream plays out as if we were watching a movie. But not all dreams are the same. There is another kind of dreaming called lucid dreaming, which is more like playing a video game than watching a movie.
By definition, lucid dreaming is simply the act of knowing that you're dreaming whilst you're dreaming. My name is Matthew Walker. I am a professor of neuroscience and psychology at the University of California, Berkeley. Most people actually think of lucid dreaming more in the sense of actually beginning to control what you're dreaming. So you gain volitional control and you decide what's going to happen during your dream.
Frequent lucid dreamers claim that they can control many parts of the dream, such as teleporting themselves to another location, learning to improve real-life skills, or even eating fire. It might sound far-fetched, and until recently, we lacked the technology to prove if lucid dreaming was real or not. But a series of recent studies has shed light on the phenomenon.
Scientists have designed experiments and they've been able to demonstrate objectively that when people say that they're doing something in their dream, that they actually are.
In 2012, scientists reported results from one of the first experiments that objectively measured lucid dreams using fMRI scanners. fMRIs measure the rate of blood flow to different areas of the brain, so they can relay information about a person's thoughts and actions simply through a series of images. For the study, scientists first asked participants to clench their fists while they were awake. This lit up key areas of the brain on the fMRI scanner. After that, participants were asked to fall asleep and dream about clenching their fists. Sure enough, similar regions of the brain lit up in both cases. Lucid dreaming comes naturally to some, but many of us have never experienced the sensation. However, that doesn't mean it's impossible.
How can we actually become more capable of lucid dreaming? Well, it's a little bit tricky, but you can certainly try to tell yourself that you will remember that you're dreaming whilst you're dreaming before you actually fall asleep. So try to go through a mantra chant, as it were. Some people actually try to do deliberative things whilst they're sleeping, like turning on the lights in a room, and that helps them to become aware that they are dreaming at the moment of dreaming itself, and therefore they gain lucid control.
Those who can already control their dreams with ease say lucid dreams aren't only for entertainment, but can also be used to expand one's conscious boundaries. On the other hand, lucid dreamers have also reported frightening accounts where they have trouble distinguishing reality from the dream. In some cases, this can be a sign of mental illness and should be taken seriously. But why do some people have the ability to lucid dream, but not others? And what is happening in our subconscious that triggers this experience? There's still a lot we have to learn about the causes and effects of lucid dreaming.
It seems to be only around 20 to 30% of the population are actually natural lucid dreamers. So perhaps if it was so beneficial, Mother Nature would have had all of us being capable of lucid dreaming, and the fact that we're not perhaps means that it's not necessarily beneficial, but we actually don't know. Maybe those 20 to 30% of people who do lucid dream are at the forefront of hominid evolution, and they are going to be the next species of preference. We just don't know.
This species of wow.
What about the case of where a dream becomes so intense that it literally wakes you up?
So Judy's asking, what about when a dream becomes so intense that it wakes you up? And we've all had that
Yes.
experience, right?
Yes.
So I would pay attention to dreams, because if it's that severe, that's something that's going on that you need to look into, that you're probably going to want to deal with, so it will stop disrupting your sleep. Yeah, I've had falling dreams where I woke up. Yeah,
Falling?
falling.
Oh, that
Aren't they more
yeah.
common than
That's
just
a
simply the natural reaction of the body to protect itself?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are scary.
Because
Yeah.
when I fly sometimes, I feel like I'm going to fall and I wake up.
and you wake up when you're, yeah,
Yeah.
if you lose control of the flying. So we're past next time, so next week what we'll do, I've got the top 10 dream interpretations. Yes, I've got the top
That sounds interesting.
10 dream interpretations, but it's already after 4, so what we'll do is we'll stop here, okay? And then I will share with you the top 10 next week, because it will relate, we're gonna go right into what is consciousness.
Oh.
All right, so next week we're gonna talk about consciousness, but I will pick it up from here. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right, very good. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for coming. And I'll see you next week.